The growth that the WNBA has seen since Caitlin Clark joined the league has been likened to the impact that Michael Jordan and LeBron James had on the NBA. Clark, 22, has already become the face of the WNBA after shining a new light on women's college basketball during her time with Iowa. The WNBA has also seen a major boost in attendance figures, TV ratings, and revenue since Clark was selected by the Fever. The WNBA Rookie of the Year was in attendance to watch the Indiana Pacers beat the New York Knicks on Sunday at the Gainbridge Fieldhouse, where the Fever also plays its home games. With Clark in the building, legendary NBA announcer Mike Breen couldn't help but celebrate her success both individually and for the WNBA. During the summer when the Indiana Fever played here with Caitlin Clark, the building was packed every game, Breen said. The TV ratings of the Fever this summer for the local telecast were higher than a lot of the Pacers game because of Caitlin Clark. She's doing rating-wise for the WNBA what Michael Jordan, LeBron James, Steph Curry have been doing for the NBA. Fittingly, Clark was rewarded with an endorsement deal that only Jordan had received before her after agreeing to partner with Wilson Sporting Goods Company. The company is the official basketball supplier for both the WNBA and the NBA, and as part of the agreement, Clark will test products while also releasing her own line. It's a similar deal to the one that Jordan signed in the 1980s, and Clark also signed a $28 million deal with Nike back in April. Wilson has been with me across some of the most pivotal moments in my career so far, and I couldn't be more excited to continue driving basketball forward alongside them, Clark said. It feels surreal to have my own basketball collection and to affect what that means for future generations of athletes. Clark is certainly impacting future athletes, as after the WNBA regular season ended, viewership statistics were released and it was clear to see how much pulling power Clark has. According to Fox, 1.178 million people tuned in to watch Clark throughout the regular season. This was a 199% increase on all other WNBA games, which averaged 394,000. Attendance figures were later released, with the Fever averaging 16,084 fans at each game last season while non-Fever games averaged 8,552. This was an increase of 88%, but that doesn't mean that the increased spotlight on Clark hasn't come without criticism. Due to being number one, Clark faced scrutiny throughout her rookie season, and fellow WNBA players spoke out about receiving online from her biggest fans. However, she was then defended by James, who has been a massive supporter of hers since becoming a star in college. Don't get it twisted, don't get it up. Caitlin Clark is the reason why a lot of great things are gonna happen for the WNBA, James said. But for her individually, I don't think she should get involved on anything. That's being said, just go have fun, enjoy. I'm rooting for Caitlin because I've been in that seat before, I've walked that road before. I hope she kills, I hope. Fever teammate, Aaliyah Boston does amazing. I hope they do great. In her WNBA rookie year, Caitlin Clark made history with the Indiana Fever, earning Rookie of the Year and leading them to the playoffs. However, she recently revealed feeling upset about her draft experience. During her first year in the WNBA, Caitlin Clark made history with the Indiana Fever, earning Rookie of the Year honors and leading the team to the playoffs. However, the guard recently shared that her draft experience left her feeling upset. Speaking on the Fresh Talk podcast, Clark revealed that being selected number 1 overall by the Fever came with unexpected challenges. She explained that after shaking hands with WNBA Commissioner Kathy Engelbert, she was quickly ushered away, leaving her with little time to celebrate with her family, friends, and loved ones. I was so upset because after I got drafted, I just got dragged out immediately and didn't get to see any of the draft, Clark said to her former Hawkeyes teammates Kate Martin, Gabby Marshall, and Jada Gyamfi. I had my phone, but I couldn't really use it. It made me so upset. And then, I didn't even get to see Kate get drafted. It really upset me, she added. I didn't even take pictures with you guys, my family, like Connor, McCaffrey, like no one. Clark's remarkable rookie campaign with the Fever saw the team make the playoffs, though they were eliminated in the first round by the Connecticut Sun. Next season, the Fever will be coached by Stephanie White, who returns to the franchise after leaving in 2016. Clark's debut season was nothing short of historic. She was named WNBA Rookie of the Year, earning 66 out of 67 votes, and became the first rookie since 2008 to be selected for the All-WNBA First Team, joining elite players like A'ja Wilson and Breanna Stewart. Among her many achievements, Clark set the WNBA single-season record with 337 assists and shattered rookie records with 769 points and 122 three-pointers. She also became the first rookie in league history to record multiple triple-doubles. Caitlin Clark, the rising basketball sensation, took center stage on Sunday as she was spotted courtside at Gainbridge Fieldhouse, cheering enthusiastically for the Indiana Pacers in their clash against the reigning WNBA Rookie of the Year appeared to be the good luck charm Indiana needed, as the Pacers clinched a thrilling 132-121 win, marking their third consecutive triumph on home turf. While Tyrese Haliburton dazzled fans with an outstanding 35-point display, it was Clark's captivating presence that also turned heads. Haliburton's performance was nothing short of spectacular. He shot an impressive 11 of 18 from the field, contributing 2 rebounds, 14 assists, 2 steals, and hitting 4 three-pointers, all in just 35 minutes of action. Meanwhile, Caitlin Clark, renowned for her on-court prowess, drew admiration not only for her athleticism but also for her charismatic courtside demeanor, enhancing the electric atmosphere of the game. However, it wasn't just Clark's cheerleading that had fans buzzing. Her fashion choice did too. The 22-year-old opted for a sporty look, donning an off-white cotton sweatshirt that has been reported to retail at a staggering $469. Despite its casual style, the designer piece lent her an edge that certainly did not go unnoticed. Social media quickly lit up, with many fans lauding her chic yet comfy ensemble for the day's event. Clark, who had an action-packed weekend, also made her presence felt during Friday's college basketball showdown where Butler University faced off against Missouri State University. This matchup held special significance for her as her boyfriend, Connor McCaffrey, debuted as an assistant coach for Butler following an off-season shift. Taking on the role of a proud partner, Clark was in the stands, cheering as Butler emerged victorious with a score of 72-65 in their season opener. For Caitlin Clark, the weekend encapsulated the essence of sportsmanship, supporting her loved ones while reveling in the thrill of the game. Whether it was from her courtside seat rallying for the Pacers or celebrating her boyfriend's first coaching gig at Butler, Clark demonstrated her deep-rooted passion for basketball. Her appearance at the Pacers match against the Knicks undoubtedly added an exhilarating spark to the occasion, showcasing that her influence transcends even the WNBA. As Caitlin Clark continues to carve her niche in the basketball world, both on and off the court, fans can expect to witness more moments filled with her unwavering support for the sport and those around her. The Pacers relished her presence during Sunday's game, and with another home victory under their belt, one might just speculate, could Caitlin Clark be Indiana's secret lucky charm? On a cold January night in 1995, the fire marshal walked into the gymnasium at Fountain Central High School, took a look around with a scowl on his face and mumbled something about a possible code violation. The gym was raucous, rowdy and loud, and it was absolutely packed. People were sitting in the aisles, standing shoulder to shoulder in the bleachers. Folding chairs had been brought in and set up too deep on the sidelines. There were people hanging from the chandeliers, said Gary Hart, Seeger High's athletic director at the time. There was a line of people lined up all the way out to the highway, waiting outside to get in to see that game. It was a full house. Inside the gym, the fire marshal walked around a little bit longer to survey the scene, then turned to the person standing next to him and asked, "Where can I sit?" Stephanie White was about to break the Indiana girls' high school basketball career scoring record. Everyone, it seemed, wanted to see the Seeger senior phenom score her 2,617th point in a game against Turkey run to topple the record Charleston's Abby Conklin had set 2 years before. According to the official schedule, the game was supposed to be played at Turkey Run, but that gym was tiny. Just a few hundred people would have been able to witness White make Indiana basketball history. Hart, who had coached White as a freshman at Seeger, negotiated to move the game to a bigger venue. He even reached out to Purdue to see if Mackey Arena was available. In the end, Turkey Run agreed to play the game at Fountain Central's much bigger gym, where a sold-out arena watched a girl with long dark hair wearing number 22 deliver exactly what the people had come for. It happened at the line. White scored her record-breaking 2,617th point on a free throw with 1 second left in the first half and Seeger leading 41-17. A timeout was taken as the crowd roared. This was a huge moment. Even the Turkey Run fans couldn't help but cheer for their opponent's greatness. White leaned down, put her hands on her knees and held back tears. When she returned to the line for her second free throw, White missed the basket. "She was so ticked off," said Diane Hearn, who was White's volleyball coach at Seeger. She said, "I lost focus." She was so mad at herself. Steph was always so competitive, so devoted to her sport, so incredibly hard-working that she never really gave herself a moment to step back and say, "Look what I did." White wasn't thinking about breaking the record that night nearly 30 years ago. "That's not what great athletes do in the middle of a game," said Lynn Dunn, a mentor to White and her former coach. That wasn't what mattered to her. She was thinking about how she missed the free throw. "That's who she is," Dunn said. "And some of those traits are similar to the traits that Caitlin Clark has. That competitiveness, that investment in her game, that high basketball IQ. They're very similar like that." There is a lot of Caitlin Clark in Stephanie White, the Indiana Fever's new head coach. Or, perhaps, it should be the other way around. There is a lot of Stephanie White in the Fever's star player Caitlin Clark. After all, long before Clark was rocking the world of women's sports on the court, White was doing it on a much smaller scale, without the glitz of social media, showing those who were watching that women's basketball could be great. "I think we all know how good of a basketball mind she is, but also how much of a legend she is in Indiana," Clark told Indy Star last week. "I think that's really cool." The signs came early. The first time Dunn met the little girl who would become her future player, White was attending a summer camp at Purdue, even though she wasn't old enough to be there. "Steph was 8 and I remember us deciding, okay, let's just put down that she's 10, said Dunn, who later coached White at Purdue and with the Fever. "She was as good or better than most of the 10 and 12-year-olds. That would be the first time that I saw her and realized how gifted she was, how smart she was as a player." In 5th grade, White played up on the 6th grade team at her elementary school. "Steph was the best player on the floor," said Hart. "I don't say that to put down the other kids. But she was a special kid from the get-go. Just like Clark, who, by the time she was in 3rd grade, was playing basketball on the boys' team. Not only that, but she was playing up a year." Jill Weston's son was one of those boys a year older than Clark at St. Francis of Assisi Catholic School in Des Moines, Iowa. "Honestly, I was kind of like, okay, I have to see this. Why is she playing against the boys?" said Weston, who taught Clark in 6th grade math and science. "And when I saw her, I was like, yep, this is where she belongs, with the boys, playing up a year." People in Iowa started talking about this Clark girl. 22 years earlier, people in Indiana were talking about this White girl. By the time White was at Seeger Junior High, she was a household name in the sports community. She not only played basketball but was a star at volleyball and softball. That was around the time Hearn was interviewing to be the Seeger High volleyball coach. And they kept talking about Stephanie White, Stephanie White, Stephanie White, like she's seriously the real deal, said Hearn. They even knew that in 8th grade. White ended up outperforming everyone's expectations in high school as a 3-sport, all-state athlete in basketball, softball and volleyball. She was Indiana's Miss Basketball and led the team to 4 straight semi-states. She played middle in volleyball and shortstop in softball. "I knew that we had this really good athlete coming up. What I didn't understand was that she could do anything," said Hearn, who still coaches volleyball at Seeger with White's mom, Jenny, who is an assistant coach. "She could have gone Division I in any 3 sports, but her love for basketball, I don't even know for sure if her mom knows where it comes from." At White's news conference last week at Gainbridge Fieldhouse, where she was officially introduced as the new Fever coach, replacing Christy Sides, who led the team the past 2 seasons, White made clear it had always been basketball for her. "A gym with a hoop and a ball in her hand is the only place White has ever wanted to be. It didn't matter which sport she was playing in high school, White always made time for basketball. During volleyball season, she convinced Hearn to meet her at the school at 6 a.m. Some mornings, she'd do a pool workout for her legs. Other mornings, she would lift weights. But she would always go into the gym and practice ball handling and shooting." Hearn, who is only 5'2", would hold up one of the big brooms used to sweep the gym floors, to give White something to shoot over. "She just told me what to do, and I did it," said Hearn. After school, White would go to volleyball practice or to a game. Any night she had open, she would play pickup basketball with a bunch of 30-something guys in a tiny gym in West Lebanon. The gym didn't have heat. "These guys, they would quite literally just beat the crap out of her to get her toughened up," said Hearn. White always wanted to be ready for any opponent that came her way. "She was one of the most hardworking people, players, kids that you're ever going to find. She's competitive at anything and everything that she was ever involved in," said Hart, especially at the sport she loved most. "She wore basketballs out, you know?" As the years went on, Dunn kept an eye on that 8-year-old who had impressed her at summer camp as she coached the Purdue women's team from 1987 to 1996. Early on in her high school career as a freshman, sophomore, "We all saw how smart she was, and how invested she was in being the best that she could be," said Dunn. "She was always working on her game in the off-season, during the season, just totally invested in being the best that she could be." Dunn watched as White was named Indiana Miss Basketball, the 1995 Gatorade and USA Today National Player of the Year, WBCA High School All-American and MVP of the WBCA All-American Game. She watched as White set the IHSA girls basketball scoring record, finishing with 2,869 career points after averaging 28.3 points as a sophomore, 31.0 as a junior and a state-best 36.9 as a senior, including a single game high of 66 points. With the Boilermakers, White scored 2,182 career points, 671 rebounds, 582 assists and 277 steals, leading Purdue to 2 Big Ten titles and 2 Big Ten tournament titles. In 1999, she led Purdue to a 34-1 record in an NCAA championship, the first and only Big Ten Conference women's team to win a national title. As Dunn coached White at Purdue and then with the Fever, she saw a generational player and one that today reminds her a lot of another young player wearing number 22. "Steph was what I call a combo guard, and that's what I think Caitlin is. I mean, they're point guards, but they can also play the two because they're scoring guards," said Dunn. "So, they have the ability to play either position, but they could be a true point guard and also be a shooting guard, and they're both very similar in those skills." In Dunn's opinion, White is the perfect coach to be leading Clark into her second season in the WNBA. After Purdue, she played 4 seasons in the league with Charlotte and Indiana, followed by coaching roles in college and the WNBA, including the Fever's 2012 championship run and 2015 WNBA Finals. White already has some ideas on how to make her new team more successful. "Offensively, we can be more creative. I think we can utilize more versatility, utilize certain players in different ways," White said. "I'm a forward-thinking, outside-the-box kind of coach. I like to challenge them on a number of levels. They are a high IQ team, so also giving them the freedom to make plays. A good basketball team doesn't run plays. They make plays," said White. "Everybody knows at the end of the day, players win the ball games, right? You've got to give them the freedom, the confidence to believe in their abilities to make those plays," she said, "but also a little bit of the structure to help them see the different ways that you can attack." White then laughed as she talked about how she would like to see Indiana get better on the defensive end of the floor. "And I was never a player who played defense. Dunn can attest to that," she said. "But it is a big part of how I coach and it's an important piece of us positioning ourselves to win ball games when the shots aren't falling." Dunn also laughed about White's defense, but then she stuck up for her former player. "Well, she did play defense, but just like Caitlin, they're offensively gifted," she said. "They're gifted with their passing skills, they're gifted with their ability to get to the rim, the pull-up jumpers, the threes. And so first and foremost, that's who they are. Now, that doesn't mean that they don't value defense." Putting offense and defense aside, White has an overall vision for her team. "More than anything, we want to continue to be exactly what they are," she said. "A fun, fast-paced, up-tempo style of play. They're sharing the basketball, making teammates better, building quality depth, and becoming a team that can win a championship."